the Gordon Square district, which is actually a neighborhood in Cleveland that is fastly being gentrified, and it's just kind of a new and upcoming area. And today is the day of solidarity action with Charlotte across the nation. Black Lives Matter asked for groups throughout all of the United States to stand in solidarity with the uprising in Charlotte from 7 to 9. So we are here as Cleveland supporting the new civil rights movement, Charlotte, the uprising in Charlotte, and we are taking a stand against racism in Cleveland, as well as across the whole world.
Why isn't the news here? If there was a dead body, if
you have the First Amendment,
someone got shot 10 times or 3 people get shot, the news is there. They're everywhere when there's violence. Why do you think the news is not here?
I think a big part of it is people don't want. I think the media's job anymore in this country is not a freedom of press issue. I think it's to keep the status quo, and I think that people. I seriously think that the media wants to keep the status quo, and there's a power in people seeing white people seeing white people stand up to racial justice and standing up for racial justice and saying, let's change this, and this doesn't fit the narrative that they want to give out, is what I would say. This is not the kind of, if someone was standing on this corner and had, when the All Lives Matter or Blue Lives Matter, they got a lot of press coverage. So, when they, not on this corner, but when they had the whole downtown, that was completely covered. It's just, I think it's partly keeping people ignorant. Because I think some people want to remain ignorant, but I think other times they just don't want people to know that there is a movement.
And Loomis is on the board of the with the police commission to help bridge the divide between black and white and the Officers Association.
So we are here protesting racial injustice and murders across the United States, and we are here just showing solidarity that we believe, no matter who we are, that we all have a stake in ending racism and white supremacy in the United States. It seems to be a pretty good reception, and regardless of the reception, I think sometimes it's just a matter of people seeing us and being seen, and I just think it would be great for people in Charlotte to see people across the country taking action in solidarity. They're putting their lives on the line. This is the least that we can do. So, yes.
And what would you like for this to accomplish? Like, where do you want people to go home when they see you out here with the signs and different things?
Well, we brought brochures, and part of it, I'm with a group called Showing Up for Racial Justice, which is a national group, but I'm with a Northeast Ohio chapter. And part of my goal for tonight is to try to reach out to other white people and say, this is who we are, this is what we're doing, and this is why. And I've realized that I think there are a lot of white people who know that what's going on in this country is wrong and know that racism exists, and I'm talking about systemic racism and white supremacy. And so I'm here to say that we have to speak out. Like, we have to speak out. This is completely a system that our ancestors made, and we must undo it. So it's our responsibility, and so I'm hoping to get more people involved. And if someone's on the far right, I'm not trying to change their mind, but if someone's kind of in the middle or wants to do something and doesn't know what to do, then I am happy to recruit them and have them come join us. Showing Up for Racial Justice.
Right.
So we are a group that actively seeks to undo what basically white supremacy and racism, systemic racism in our country. And
absolutely.
We believe that it is our responsibility. Anyone can join, but we are mostly white people, and we believe that it's our responsibility.
Well, I like the Facebook page.
Yeah.
But
yeah, silence is complicity. I 100% believe that. Yes. So I think that it's as one of this woman, her name's Waltrina, she's a huge activist here in Cleveland, and she said, you guys made this whole system, like, you need to be a part of unmaking it, and it's really true. So And I think there's something powerful in all being together because it's overwhelming sometimes. I think you think, how can I do this and what can I do to make a difference? But we can and we do. And
yeah, well, this is awesome. So thanks for just
civil rights movement. You know, I mean, we really, really are. We've had completely racist, obviously.
Police union president.
Tamir Rice being murdered and nothing happening. The Brelo decision. I mean, we're on the front line.
It just keeps happening and happening.
For sure.
I'm glad that the black police group, I forget the black badges, their union leader spoke up.
Yes. It was really divided. I think the vote was.
The person from the tea house came out and told us.
If I had White Lives Matter, Blue Lives Matter, would you get pissed off at me? If I had Blue Lives Matter, nobody'd say anything. If I had White Lives Matter, would you say anything?
All I heard was he asked these people to move. So I decided to come out and hold a sign.
Okay. And why do you think? What's your opinion on why he said that?
I don't know. I didn't get into an argument with him.
This is really cool.
But I don't know. He doesn't care. You know, he's only thinking about himself. Or maybe he's I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to make assumptions about him. What's that?
What made you decide to come out here?
Because I
you
support
could have
Black
just left
Lives
and went
Matter.
home.
I mean, you know, this is a movement I don't want to not be part of. I think that sign over there is true. And I think
what sign? What does it say?
White silence costs lives.
Okay.
I think that's the truth. And I think if people don't speak out, people don't march, people don't vote, people don't write letters, people don't get involved, then that's the bare minimum that they're not doing. And I don't know. I'm not a good speaker. You're catching me off guard. I think this is one of the most important issues of our time because this fight has been going on for years and years and years and years and generations and generations. And white people have been silent most of the time. And I don't want to be I don't want to be a person who stands by and does nothing while there's injustice all around me. And I don't know what to do. You know, I don't think anyone knows exactly how to fix a situation that requires a change in the hearts and minds of every person in the country. But I feel like this is the least I could do. Half of my family, I'm from the South. Openly racist. I don't know how to change their minds. You know, I feel like I argue with them and it's like talking to a brick wall. And I feel like they've got a negative bias that I'm completely unable to change, and a confirmation bias. And that's what I don't know what to do about. How do you change what's in the heart and mind of someone else? They were poor and weak, and they were looking for someone to blame. Like Trump, and you see the white nationalists, and you see David Duke, and these are like the low bar, right? This isn't even like the real problem. It's like the core, obviously bad part, you know? And that's exactly what they're exploiting. They're exploiting people who feel like they've lost their identity, and they're at the bottom of the pecking order. And they feel like they are, right? And they want they want it to be someone's fault, and they want someone to step on, and they want someone to be below them, and that's my guess.
Now, why do you feel that some or a lot of white people cannot admit racism or white supremacy? Because a lot of people say, well, if they admit that, then they have to have some kind of guilt or some kind of responsibility.
Right. It makes people very uncomfortable, right? Why can't they admit that? I mean, I think it's like a Salem witch trials, right? So at some point during the Salem witch trials, they were burning people accused of witchcraft, and they realized the girl who sort of started it all made it up. But they couldn't stop burning people because it would mean admitting that they were culpable for all that damage. They also benefit, and they have for generations. What's so important about this movement is it doesn't seek to make anyone comfortable. I think people aren't going to learn more until they're willing to feel a little uncomfortable. And I think just the phrase, I hope this doesn't come out the wrong way, Black Lives Matter, makes most white people feel uncomfortable, and they don't really know why.
Why?
You know?
Why do you think it does? Why should it?
I think, I don't know, like the number of my friends whose immediate response, God, what is this, like 5 years ago, the March on Washington, when you first started to really see media attention on Black Lives Matter, was to say all lives matter. You know, and I think that, I think it had to be because that makes them uncomfortable. But they don't know why, you know? Like if you were to ask them, like, would you want to be treated the way black people are treated in the United States of America? I think they would say no.
People can sympathize with animals in veganism and vegetarianism more than black people in Black Lives Matter.
That's an uncomfortable truth, right? Ignorance is how I think people do it. I mean, I think that I think in school you're taught everything got fixed with the civil rights movement, and that everything's fair and that everything's sort of hunky-dory, and no one really talks about how bad things are, or not when I was a kid.
Peace, everybody.
And I really think it's ignorance, and I.
You think it's ignorance, or do you think they're just choosing not to do it? Because if you can sympathize with, like, if you give birth, if you give birth to a child,
yeah,
you're going to love that child unconditionally. You can't give birth to an animal.
Right.
So how could you look at sympathize with an animal? I can see on the same level, but how can you speak out for animal rights and not?
If you can see yourself in a bunny, how come you can't see yourself in another human being and not put yourself in their shoes? I have no idea.
If you feel, as a white person, that you feel powerless, how do you think black people feel?
Awful, because I've got easy street, right? I can comfortably feel powerless from a position of white privilege. And I think empathy is the only thing that connects me to that. You know what I mean? I mean, I don't know how many people have the capacity to fathom the depth of that unfairness. I think they have it, but are they going to expose themselves? I don't know.
Well, where you have some of your family members that are racist, how are you able to make the distinction between being fair and just and not being racist?
I've always wondered that. I mean, I grew up, that family grew up in a small insular town. I grew up in Charlotte when the schools were desegregated.
North Carolina?
Yeah.
Oh, that's what they're marching.
What's that?
They're doing a march for Charlotte.
Oh, they are? Okay, yeah. It's been very painful watching what's happening down there. I think being in a desegregated school really informed a lot of my opinions about people.
You were in a segregated school?
Desegregated. And I sort of wonder, now that they've managed to resegregate the schools, if that will be lost for a generation. But I guess that has to be it. I grew up in a poor black neighborhood and went to a school that was desegregated, and I think that influenced my just being around people that are not the same as me influenced my ability to empathize, I'm guessing, with other people. And maybe my relatives in a small town who only ever saw people like them, who have this history of racism in their town. It seems like a sad excuse. That's a guess.
At some point there can be an integration between all races, like a complete integration.
Complete and seamless, like if Star Trek was a little less racist, like that.
We could bring it here, but we figured that's
Because at what point do you look and say, this hasn't worked for this amount of time, and we're gonna try this, and it doesn't work? Because how old are you?
I'm 40.
40, okay. So the short 40 years that you've been here, can you imagine being around 400 years, 10 times that? After maybe about the second 100th year, you would be like, with the mind frame you're in now, if you were to time travel.
Yeah.
At your 200th year birthday, you would probably be like, okay, they can't, they're still not getting along, and we have 200 more years to go.
Right.
So do you think today that's possible, or do you still think it just can't happen for whatever reason?
I think it's a complex problem to solve because there's so many reasons people are afraid of people of other race, of other cultures. The Irish were discriminated against when they moved here just because their culture was different than that. I mean, I think that people do it for greed, people do it to give themselves a sense of superiority, and you'd have to solve all of those things to get an integrated race. So to say a perfect win, I think I despair that would happen. But do I think we could have a society that has more justice? Yeah, I think we could do that. I think we could fight for that. A society that has actual equality, yeah, I think we could do that. Do I think that it's going to be a tremendous long fight to get there? Yeah, and probably with a lot of defeats. But I don't know if cultures, I think until humans maybe evolve a little more, if that innate fear won't always be exploitable of other.
And I think that this is what we need, is like collective action and working together. So yes, and part of that's being seen.
Exactly.
Because I think there's so many people who are just out there like knowing it's not right and not knowing what to do,
scared to
and
come out
we're
here.
scared to
Because
come
they don't
out.
want to be the only one saying anything.
Yes.
It's like, they're going to feel like the odd one out because they're the only one saying something. But everybody feels that way, but it takes a leader to say something, and then everybody else will follow.
Yep.
It always takes a leader. It always.
And in our case, it's a matter of like, if I say this, will I be alone in saying this?
Exactly.
Because just to know that there are other white people out there who want to, create a new system of anti-racism is, to incorporate the inclusionary model of anti-racism in society. That's actually quite empowering.
And then like I was asking like what when I was over there, I'm like, what does everybody expect to get from this? Like what exactly do you guys expect anything from this? Like what do you expect?
My biggest expectation, I guess there's a few. Like one, I want to wake people up because I'm sick of complacency. I'm utterly just tired of complacency.
Like people you want to wake up or
I don't feel like it's my job to wake up African Americans. Like quite honestly,
no,
like,
I get what you're saying.
but I feel like it's my job to really wake up white people.
To wake up humans.
Yeah.
People.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? There's no
Yes.
white, there's no black, everybody. But there is
and
white
for the
and
people,
black, and that's why we're out here now.
And the people who are scared to come out or know it's wrong but don't want to say nothing, I think this will open them up. Like, okay, I see a white person, a black person, a Puerto Rican. Let me go out there, and eventually, I think that'll all come out.
Oh, that was your friend?
I do too. Yeah, I do too. I kind of think though, like, I don't have as much on the line as being in danger when I'm out standing on the street as a white person. Like, so I think it's not up to me to call anyone out to go like, hey, you should come to this protest, you know, or what. But I do think
by them
that
seeing you out here,
yes,
that's what
exactly.
This
This is about people seeing.
What?
Me being black, and when I see white people out here standing for Black Lives Matter, and I don't see black people, it kind of pisses me the fuck off. And I'm not even gonna say that. That's why when we rolled past, we stopped and we came back because I didn't see any. I mean, I seen them, but I didn't see anybody that looked like me, and it pissed me off. I didn't see you.
Absolutely made so that people who stand up against, fight against it, are beaten down or belittled or scared, you know. So it's a self-perpetuating, like, save itself system. And when you try to fight against it, really start fighting against it, like, you actually have people who are trying to shut you down. So.